Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And today, we're going to talk about relationships because let's face it, people buy from people, and it starts with relationships. And I can't think of a better person to have this conversation with than Janice Porter. She's a business owner, a trainer, and a connector. She has an innate curiosity and a genuine love of people. She's known as a master communicator, and her passion is specializing in working and teaching professionals in both online and offline networking and marketing strategies for attracting, developing, nurturing, and retaining relationships that enhance business growth and profitability. Janice, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be back, Lorraine, and to see you again.
It is so nice to have you back. And I am going to have a link to our first conversation in the episode as well, where Janice talks about making a great second impression. But today, what I really want to talk about is building relationships specifically on LinkedIn, because that really is where B2B professionals are playing. And I'd love a few tips on how you approach the LinkedIn platform.
Thank you so much. That is where I hang out pretty much every day. I have found over the years that it's quite an underutilized platform. People think that because they've got a profile on LinkedIn, that should be enough. What they don't realize is that they're leaving money on the table by not interacting and connecting with people there. It's kind of like networking on steroids, really, because we used to network in person a lot. COVID changed all that. So once we got used to being online, that's when I started to really dig in to how to build new relationships on LinkedIn and how to reconnect with relationships that I had begun on LinkedIn and never done anything with.
I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. I do think it's a really good platform. And sometimes I have a lot of great conversations. And then sometimes it seems like LinkedIn doesn't love me. And I've got to kind of figure out how to break through. So I really want to have good conversations. Where do I start?
Well, you start by realizing that, again, going back to the in-person thing, that what were you like when you were networking in person? You don't pitch people right away. You are curious and you ask about them and what their interests are. And more on LinkedIn than in person, if you just met someone for the first time, you have the opportunity to look at their profile so that you have some idea of where they're coming from and not ask them a question that they want to say, because this happens sometimes. Did you read my profile? Right? So at least give people the benefit of the courtesy of doing that. And then if you're doing the outreach, supposedly you would be doing it in a systematic way where you are doing an advanced search that pinpoints the type of people or the type of area or the industry, whatever it is that you're looking for, so that there's something to move forward with if you find some people that you're interested in. So that's the first thing.
Okay, so you go to your contact list and you filter it looking for specific characteristics and or just in general.
No, I would go to the search bar, the search feature with the filters on it, and that will encompass my existing connections, but also new connections, depending on what I decide. And then, so I've lately been doing two campaigns. One is a new outreach, and the other campaign is taking my existing connections and breaking those down, because you can only do so many at a time, and sending out a specific message that I crafted about, hey, it's been a while. How are you doing? What's going on? Because those are warm leads, basically. And if you visit them, who knows? Timing is everything, and timing might be better for somebody that you've already connected with than it was when you first connected with them to talk business. So you kind of feel that out.
It's interesting because you actually reached out to me that way. And what I loved about it is it was a very warm personal note. It totally felt like you. And it
Yes,
felt very genuine when you said, hey, what's going on? And as I responded, then we began a more personal conversation.
Right.
And that's really why you're back as a guest, because we had a chance to reconnect.
And that's perfect. Thank you for that, because that's what happens. Like now, I've intercepted. I don't know when this will air, but it might be after the holidays. I don't know. But right now, I'm doing a holiday message as well, which I've never done before, and that's also a stepping stone to continuing conversations. Right? If somebody responds, and most people have responded, "Thank you," or "What a great message," or "That's so sweet of you." Now I can start talking to them again, right? And so what do you do? Well, you ask them how things are going for them. Is there anything you can support them with? Are you still doing A, B, or C that you were doing before? Just engage, get them to engage. And then once you get them to engage, make sure that you can give them something of value.
I like that you break it into to a multi-step process where you engage, they respond, and then you have the something of value. Too often people connect and they're immediately shoving stuff at me. And as you said before, you're like, did you read my profile?
Yeah.
Did
Even
you
when they're giving you something of value, I would recommend that you suggest, after talking to you or after looking at your profile, I have this great article about blah blah blah, would you be interested? Ask them first before you dump it on them, right?
I love that because you earn the right to
Yes,
have that conversation. You earn the right to send them more information because you've established a relationship.
exactly. Yeah, hello. I know.
Hello.
That's what's so interesting, right? It's funny though, it can happen in many different ways. When you find the right people, okay, so sometimes it might have been a very off the cuff referral from somebody. So this happened to me last week. I got a fellow that I know quite well sent me a very, very short message saying, "Hey, Dave, I want you to meet Janice. Janice, meet Dave." He didn't give me any background. So I looked Dave up on LinkedIn. I reached out. We finally had a conversation 2 days ago. And now he's going to do some full blown LinkedIn training with me because we hit it off like right away. And he said, "You get me. I haven't heard that before so you just never know." And that's why I think people are leaving money on the table because they're not exploring those possibilities.
Absolutely. So, do you have any other tips for maybe increasing engagement on some of just the general content that you're sharing on LinkedIn? Obviously, it's more about the personal, but you're putting this other content on to round out your profile. Any suggestions there?
Well, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, which I always am. However, I'm not a huge content person. Yes, I do believe you have to have, visibility and build your authority on LinkedIn. But I see people doing it so much without looking at, is it getting engagement? This is your cup of tea, right? This is the marketing pieces, and it's passive in terms of building relationships. But I will give you one tip around messaging that I'd love to share with your audience. And yes, I do have, of course, I have things that you should look out for when you're doing content on LinkedIn. Don't send them off LinkedIn because LinkedIn doesn't like that. The algorithm doesn't like that. um, Make sure you're getting comments and engagement. So you need to encourage that by asking questions and so forth. But the piece that is kind of fun these days in the messaging piece is video messaging. So if you're familiar with the messaging on LinkedIn, you see the list of messages show up. Well, if someone sent you a video message, it sticks out from the crowd right away. And
Yeah.
can only send video messages from your phone, but they do show up then and can be responded to on your desktop or your laptop as well.
Interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
LinkedIn has really been working on and expanding their mobile application. And that's a really neat tip to maybe send some personal video messages.
Here's another one you just reminded me of. So with content, the algorithm is different on the mobile app than it is on the desktop version. So if you do mix it up a little bit, if you post from your LinkedIn app on your phone, it might get a different audience.
Wow.
I
Okay,
know.
that is definitely something I'm going to try. Well,
Yeah.
Janice, this has been great. These are wonderful tips. I'm going to encourage anybody who's listening, you definitely want to connect with Janice Porter on LinkedIn. There'll be a link to her LinkedIn profile from the show notes. And also, after you've established those relationships, you might want to send someone a card, and we'll have a link to Janice's send out cards page as well.
Yes, you
Janice,
want to nurture those relationships, right?
absolutely. Janice, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
My pleasure. I always love to be here, Lorraine.
If you've enjoyed today's conversation and you're looking for other resources for your business, be sure to check out everything in our digital toolbox. There's webinars, white papers, workbooks, and so much more. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.